thank you. I just, I had a question related to just that, what you said about, well, unconditional love, they call it, I guess. And, well, I have a personal story which I think could be an interesting example, but I will ask the question first. I mean, that was a lot. Thank you, Douglas. Speaking of the needs, like lots of questions, and I guess I can combine one, both related to safety and to acceptance, because it could be manifested on different levels. It could be about physical interaction, I don't know, physical punishment, lack of physical safety. It could be verbal, like verbal aggression, verbal lack of acceptance. And it could be non-verbal, you know, not physical, not verbal. Thing is that, as I mentioned before, I have a pretty self-aware and self-conscious mother who did her absolute best to, you know, raise a happy child, and I would be explicitly told on a number of occasions that, you know, we love you the way you are. We don't care about your grades at school. We don't care about your external success. Problem is, I knew it wasn't true, like on some level, deeply. And it's not like it's not my parents' fault, but I just couldn't believe it deep down. And the opposite situation happened when I was with my other grandmother, who wasn't very psychology savvy, let's say. And she, I was painting my nails red, and I was maybe the age of your son now. I was 12. I was painting my nails, and her sister said, like, wow, you let her do that? You know, it's a bit like, is she not too young for that? And my granny was like, well, you know, she's such a good girl. She's a straight A student, so she's doing really well. So we allow her to do such things. And I was like, whoa, hold on a second. So if I weren't a straight A student, you would treat me differently? And she said, like, of course we love you so much because you're performing so well. And I mean, that was a very stupid thing to say. And I cried, and I got so angry and upset with her. But also I knew that she didn't mean it. I knew that that woman actually did love me unconditionally, very strongly, and she was trying to rationalize that, you know, if I want to raise a good child, I need to create some incentive, like I need to put these conditions, otherwise the child would be, say, lazy. But in fact, on emotional level, she just had so much warmth and so much love, and she would just pour it onto her children, as opposed to the case that I mentioned before, when the person would explicitly tell me, like verbally tell me that yes, we love you no matter what. But at the same time, I could feel that there were a lot of things I had to do to take care of that person's emotional regulation. You know, how I had to behave to make sure I don't upset them. And maybe, again, this is me taking too much responsibility onto myself, thinking that my actions can affect that person's emotions. But I mean, I felt like to some extent, at least, that was true. So yeah, I guess going back to the question, what are these levels and how do you differentiate between like real acceptance and you know, just acclaimed acceptance, and what are the nuances of those?
It's a beautiful example, and painful, of the role of approval and acceptance, okay? And because, you know, we put kids in school and there's constantly a system of measures as to whether they're a good kid, a bad kid, they're getting the good grades, or so we create performance as a way of seeing who we are, okay? And yes, it can be very confusing then, because the message that you were given is, yes, we accept you, but we're so damn happy that we can approve of you, that we give you more freedom than maybe you're ready for. Maybe then, so there's this mixed message, right? Somebody's saying, should a 12-year-old paint her nails red? And the answer is, well, this one, yes, because she's gained our approval. And you had the sensitivity and the insight to go, but that doesn't feel right. I'm gaining a freedom based on my performance rather than a deeper version of what that might mean or how I might feel from that. And it's not, as you say, a contradiction. She truly does and did accept you, but that approval piece becomes an obstacle, okay? Because that's where, instead of seeing the essence, we see the behavior, okay? We see the performance. And this is a real obstacle. Performance and image. Think of what a big deal that is for us. You know, and especially now in the world of Facebook and all these ways in which we create these images of ourselves, and we get caught in that way of seeing each other and ourselves. And it's really then hard to trust that we are seen to our essence and we are accepted. I'll just give you one quick example, because at some point I learned that and I applied it to my art. Because I'm unskilled, I'm untrained, I'm untalented, I'm no good at it. And that gives me all the freedom to do it anyway. You see, somehow getting the judgment, the approval out of the equation is where that freedom is. Just like everything, it happens first with the adults in our life, and then we take that into ourselves. And what we often have to do is overcome the limitations that came from those adults, which of course is normal, and to go, oh, okay, that's where those limitations were. Now, one quick comment about that, because we almost always have to look back and say, what did my parents do? How well did they do it? You know, where did they fail? And the important thing is not to get caught on blame and judgment. I mean, we might feel that, but it's more important that we realize their limitations coming from their experience is what it is that became the obstacle to our freedom, you see? And it's not then about, oh, they did something wrong. It's more that they inherited the experiences from their childhood and maybe even further back. And you throw in history and traumatic experiences in there, and yeah, we are living limitations from the generations that precede us. And when we realize that, then it's our responsibility and possibility to overcome them, you know, to take responsibility for our part, you know.
I always do the, I wouldn't say comparison, but reflect on, okay, he's this way. How was I at this age? And then you can see, you know, the differences, and then I'm trying to say, oh, because I was this way because my parents taught me to do so, and so how can I do it differently maybe? And if I'm doing differently doesn't mean it's better, but it's just trying to do something different and see how it goes. Like, for example, this is the first year that they're always going school online, because like you say, I don't really agree with all this grade and stuff and measurements, you know, what we had seen in his past. So I'm trying something differently, but maybe it won't be the way, and maybe, you know, we'll have to go back in the same, but at least the most important thing, I would say, you never know what will be the outcome. Like, being said, all these things that I'm doing with Leo, at the end of the day, I don't know, maybe at 25 he will be completely depressed or whatsoever, I don't know, but it's it's try to doing differently and going out of the comfort zone and be okay with losing control and let go of the outcome, because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But like you say, parenting, I think I am this way with him because I took care of myself first and my inner child. And one of the most striking exercise I had during my coaching training was this exercise of the mirror. You know, when sometimes you get mad to someone and try to reflect on yourself, what does that tell you? And usually it says that your inner child is talking, you know. And there was this beautiful image of, you know, your inner child, if you don't let your inner child express, it's like putting a child in a, how do you say, in the toilet, in this very small room, and you lock in. And then no matter how much the inner child will scream, you ignoring it, and it won't go well, it won't go better, as long as you don't open the door and say, okay, what's happening, what's the problem? But it's, yeah, I think the most important relationship we have first is with our inner child, and once we do that, we are more aligned to take care of the others and to have a better world and everything. And all this violence in the world, I believe that because people don't reflect on themselves. They prefer to accuse the others or accuse the society or accuse the system, while if you look inside of you, maybe you can try to change some stuff also.
And like, how do you have any, you know, maybe somebody can share some methods of how to access that? Because I was just thinking about it yesterday evening, actually. My brother told me that our family pet passed away, our dog, and well, my inner child did have a certain reaction to that, but what I did was I got right back to the lecture that I was studying, and I just ignored it completely. In the meantime, like realizing what I'm doing and not knowing how to do it differently, I'm very poorly skilled at consoling my inner child and generally taking care of it, because, you know, it's like it's at the bottom of the pecking hierarchy. And I'm doing a bit better now than, like, say 10 years ago, but whenever I think about potential motherhood in the future, if I have children, I realize that I'm going to treat my children the way I'm treating myself, and this is why, well, like, there is lots of work to do yet before I can, you know, consider actually being a mother. It's not to, you know, become a horrible one. So how do you access that, like, relationship within a child? How to, like, where to even start? I guess this is my question.
For me, I don't have a kid as of the moment, but I was a nanny before. And I also kind of like love to be around kids. I love kids so much because my inner childs love to play and I play with them. So that's one of my way to see, like, oh, let my inner child go out. And I had this experience before when I was looking after a little girl, 2 years old, 3. And at that age, they were always going to do things their way, like fighting for autonomy. And she was raised by a conscious mom, trying to just let her be and all this stuff. But me, I'm trying to, I feel like I got connected with my inner child. I nurtured it, be there, reparent myself and all this stuff. And she just lashed out in front of the grocery store. And I was alone with her stroller, and I was like looking at her and I was observing myself, like, okay, so what's coming up right now? I just let her, give her space, and she was like crying, and I'm observing people trying to see, like, oh, is that your child? Like, what are you not doing anything? I was just letting her be, and part of myself was not mad, but like wanted to, like, no, stop, come here. But I tried to, like, okay, so just let her be, and after a couple of minutes she's done, and I was like, are you finished? Like, okay, and she came to me and gave her a hug. So I think, as for me, just being around kids, because I've read somewhere that being a parent is the most noble job that everyone could ever take, because it will really access that deeper part of yourself that you try to push down. And the society right now has been raised in that consciousness. So imagine having this conversation, telling people how to be conscious about themselves, how they can change themselves before having a kid, how the next generation will be. So just playing with kids, just and observe yourself, like, am I limiting myself to let my inner child come up? How do you, if you're around with a child, I don't know, like a playful one, how do you react? Do you want to, like, oh, can you just go away? Like, oh, you're so noisy, can you?
It's been so long, to be honest, since I've been around any children that I don't know, but thank you. That's a very interesting experiment. I mean, that would be interesting to observe.
Join me in the library. But how about you, Doc?